Hello, welcome back. Here we are again for episode 2 of our flight assist off training. So we're here, we're still in the same port, we're in our stock Sidewinder. Done nothing to it, just your basic E-rated Sidewinder. We are continuing our training today. We're going to look at tethering and we're going to look at some asteroid navigation as per Mox and Wolf's training videos, which I will link down below. Now there is episode 1, this is episode 2. The first episode I will link in the corner right about now. So if you're interested, go and check that out. Otherwise, let's continue. And I've got my head tracker. So we've got a few differences actually to last time. So one, I'd mentioned it in the last video, but I do actually have my Tobii IR5 head tracker now, so I can look up and down. I can turn that on and off. And second, we've changed a few camera angles. So I've also got the display, which shows you the controls of what I'm actually doing with the flight sticks. And we've set up a second camera so you can actually see me using the flight sticks. I don't know if this is going to be information overload or if it helps in any way. If you've got an opinion on that, feel free to leave it in the comments. But I just thought it'd be nice to see how I'm using the controls, how you can see the display, and you can also see me physically doing it. Anyway, let's get cracking. Okay, there's our station. So we're going to try a few tethering techniques. The first one is we're going to try and tether to the outer ring. So I'm going to try and give you a run, because the whole point of these videos is to try and tell you how it feels basically. So I'm just trying to feel what's right and what isn't. So I'm thinking now, you're that way. Need to slow down a bit. Oh, here we go. Right, so now I'm thinking we're moving away, so we've got to thrust forward a little bit. Thrust upwards. Okay. Trying to pick. So I'm throttling. Obviously, you can see on the controls what I'm actually doing. This feels a little weird, but I'm just trying to match what the ring's doing. I want to go up a bit if I can. There we go. Let's see if I can just get zoned in here. There we go. Now we're getting zoned in here. Okay. So it's mainly my lateral thrusters that I've been using. My main thrusters, because I'm either going too close or too far away. So this is quite hard, this. I'm finding this actually quite difficult. Let's persevere with it though. Let's try the outer. There we go. So we're now on the outside. Let's see if we can zone in on one of these windows. So again, using my vertical thrusters. The vertical thrusters seem to be fixing themselves. So you can see, I can see like the stars going like right to left. So I know I'm not moving forwards, if you know what I mean. I'm moving left to right. You can see the shadows. I have turned my tracker off. Let me try and... Again, this is all quite new to me, this. There we go. This is better. This is better. So I constantly need to use vertical thrust for some reason. That'll be because it's going round, isn't it? See, it's something... So in my head, I'm trying to work out what's actually happening. Because we're going round in a circle, aren't we, I suppose? So the vector is constantly changing, because we're going in a circular motion. Okay. So this is good. This is quite useful, this, because you're constantly having to change it. I can't just stay in one vector. So I'm using a lot of vertical thrust. I don't know if you can see that on the controls. Hopefully you can. I'm going a bit left because I'm... Okay. That's it. I just want to try and get it, so I'm just using the vertical thrusters to control it. I suppose it's a good thing, really, that when you're slightly messing it up, because you have to correct it. And that's what this is all about. It's learning to correct things that go wrong. If it went perfectly, I could just sit here and just not do anything. So it actually feels like it's a good thing that I'm not completely zoned in on it. So what I'm trying to think now, I have to constantly apply some vertical thrust while also making other slight amendments. Here we go. So constantly do the thrust. There we go. There we go. Bit of roll. Better. This is the best I've been doing. Hey. We're going round. That was a good shot. This is good actually. You constantly have to apply some form of thrust. You can't just let go of the controls, if you know what I mean, once you've got it, because you're constantly moving in a circle. So you can see that, can't you, that I'm moving around with it. This is a good exercise. I highly recommend this one. This is probably the best exercise I've done so far for flight assist off. That is an excellent little exercise. Using the outer ring, highly recommend that. That is probably the best one, the most useful one that I think I've done so far. Okay, let's zoom in. So now what we're going to try and do is see those solar panels. Let's move in there. So we have some solar panels here. Now we're going to try and have a bit of fun with these things. Okay. Now there's a few little gaps here. We're going to try, as we're rotating with the station, to match the rotation and get through these little gaps. The sun could be in a much better place here because it's a bit dark. Oh, this is cool. It constantly feels like you're starting from scratch, but I like that. I've played this game for like 10 years now. This is exciting stuff, this is what I want. Can I get through that gap, do you reckon? Oh, it's going to be tight, even though I'm in a sidewinder. Let's try it. Don't know why everything's shaking. Oh. I kind of got through it. Okay, so now we've been thrown off a bit. Let's try and fix it. Oh, nice. Okay. This is good. This finding a... You know what? The exercise... This is actually feeling very useful. Finding something that's moving constantly in space and you've got to constantly match it. It's really useful. So moving around with the station. Let's move down the panels. Let's use our lateral thrust to move down the panels. Let's try that. So I'm kind of improvising a bit now from Mox and Wolf's video. So I'm trying to move down the panels but go laterally. There we go. Let's get a bit closer. I'm getting a bit confident now, aren't I? Getting a bit cocky. Hey, get this out. Right, and then we're going to go around. We're going to try and go around the other side now. Check this out. This is me improvising now. Hey. Okay. Let's try. Now we also tethered over this middle bit here. So I'm going to try that, the bit that connects it. So I'm going to try tethering onto this. This is a bit more straightforward, I think. I'm going to try it anyway. Okay. Locked in. It's kind of becoming intuitive. I mean, I'm obviously nowhere near perfect yet, but I'm kind of a bit more on autopilot in terms of making adjustments. I'm not having to think as much. Let's lock in. Nice. This is one that you can let the controls go from. Awesome. Okay, now what else should we do? Let's have a little fun in terms of getting around this station. Right, let's okay, so now we're gonna flip round in a second, but we're going forward now. So as I now put a bit of yaw in, we're gonna flip the ship round. Put a bit of thrust in, put a bit of left. So I'm putting left lateral thrust in now to stop us from going forward effectively, because we're facing a different direction now. Okay, a lot of left thrust now. Oh, I'm losing it a little bit. Now downward thrust. So I lost my way a little bit then, but I'm trying to correct it. Try not to overcompensate if I can. I'm waiting for the ship to get out of the way. Oh god, it just feels so weird. But it's good though. I feel like I am making progress. Right, let's get in there. Landing pad 36. I think it's the second time I've tried this. Okay, we're looking good. We've got ships to dodge as well, which is an extra problem. We're in. Landing gear down. A bit more forward thrust. Yay! Kind of did it. Not perfect, but you know what? We're getting there. So we've done a second landing, and we did some excellent tethering. That was really useful, that. Especially on the outer ring, where you've got to use your vertical thrusters to stay, because you're going around in a circle like that, and you've got to stay with the same... It's not the same vector, you've constantly got to change your vector, but you've got to use your vertical thrusters. That was really useful, because you constantly had to think about which way you were going. So I was always having to apply some vertical thrust. What I should have tried was flipping around, so I'd have to use some downward thrust. That was really useful. It was good, that. Excellent, highly recommend that. Right, let's move on to some asteroids. Okay, here we go. Nice and gentle. Flight assist off. Okay, so here's the deal. We're gonna, first thing we're gonna try and do is boost, reduce our main thruster, our forward and backward one from the engines, to 0, and just use our manoeuvring thrusters to get around the asteroids effectively. So that's our goal. So the first thing we're going to do is just get into the middle of the asteroid field and get the planet in view. Okay, are we ready? Let's try it. So let's boost. I'm going to 0 throttle. And now we're just on vertical and lateral thrusters. Okay, I'm going to turn the head tracker back on. Okay, so I'm going to bit of left thrust to avoid that. Try rolling a bit. There we go, cancel that out. There we go, nice gap there, isn't there? Downward thrust. Okay, as a first exercise, this seems relatively straightforward, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what we got out of that, if anything, to be honest. It's just basic. That's probably like the easiest one. Going from the last exercise I did with the tethering around the station, compared to this is probably the easiest exercise so far. I'm not sure I picked anything up from that, to be honest with you. But let's move on to the next exercise and see if we can make it a bit more challenging. Okay, So the next challenge is we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to change the direction that the ship is facing. And so we've got to use different thrusters. We can use the main engine throttle to maneuver ourselves again now. But we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to basically face in a slightly different direction. So I'm going to use my tracker this time, my eye tracker. Let's try it. We're going to boost. And then what I'm going to do is zero throttle and change the direction that we're actually facing. Okay, so probably like 45 degrees-ish. Turn the tracker on. So now we're basically flying sideways a little bit now. Okay. Let's roll so I can see out the window. Take advantage of the nice open canopy on a Sidewinder. Okay. Thrust down a bit. This is a bit more interesting. You have to think about different things here. We're not hitting anything. Good. I'm going to put the main thrusters in. We're going to thrust up now to avoid this one in front of us. Oh, only just missed that one, I think. Okay, let's try and get into the middle a bit more. So we're going to thrust down now. Yeah, this is definitely much more interesting. Don't help that the mic boob is right in the way of where I'm trying to look, to be honest with you, but we'll make do. So we're flying down a bit now. Going to keep flying down, actually. Let's see if we can go under this asteroid. This is definitely much more interesting. Let's try and... Again, you've got, like the tethering, you've got to think about which way you're actually going. Nice. Okay, that was much more interesting. Okay, excellent. That was, again, very useful. That I think, generally speaking, what I'm finding is, if you're going in a direction where you've got to constantly think about, if your ship isn't pointing in the direction that you're going, is that the best way of explaining it? So you've constantly got to think about putting some kind of lateral or vertical thrust in to make changes to your vector, because it's constantly changing. That seems very useful, because you've got to constantly consider the direction that your ship's going. And if you get it wrong, and it's a good thing if you get it wrong. So if you get it wrong, don't worry about it, because yes, you'll make mistakes, but then you've got to learn to correct it. I found that quite useful. Okay, let's have a go at this one here. So what we're going to try and do is simply match the rotation. And I'll just see if I can work it out. It's going to I've got to use my main thrusters here to get the... Sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm just trying to concentrate. This seems very similar to the tethering on the station. It's good though, because you've got to constantly make some changes. There we go. So I'm doing a bit now. Hey. It's getting a bit more intuitive now, you know, in terms of which control I need to change. So I put a little bit of right thrust in there, and I know that I'm going to have to cancel it out. So I'm letting it go. See the red dots, the blue dot in the middle is moving towards the right of the asteroid. So I know I'm going to have to cancel it out at some point. I'm using a bit of yaw as well now. Now I need to apply it. See, this is good, this. These little changes I'm making, I don't know if you can see them on the controls, but I'm kind of just using intuition. I'm not having to think about it as much as I used to. You know? It's like I'm aware of the direction that I'm going and the changes I need to make without really thinking about it as much. It does feel a bit like that, you know. Nice. When I first started this last video, I honestly thought I could not fly flight assist off 100% of the time, because it was just too difficult to maneuver. But now, even though I've only done, must be less than an hour, I would say, less than an hour of flight assist off training, or maybe just over an hour or so, I can already see that, could I do flight assist off 100% of the time? Yes! Well, that was a very productive training, that. I think those set of exercises were really good at giving you a perspective on the direction that your ship is moving in comparison to the inputs that you're putting in. The two best ones were the tethering to the outside of the ring on the station, because you had to constantly make changes. You couldn't let go of the controls, basically. You had to constantly make changes using mainly a vertical thruster to stay orientated, and that was quite difficult, that. And the second one was in the asteroid belt, where you had to change the direction that your ship was facing, and that altered, even though you're going the same direction as if you were going straight into the asteroid belt, into the asteroid field, because you changed the direction the front of your ship was facing, you had to think differently in terms of what different thrusters you were going to use to basically go the same direction. So whereas before going that way would have been throttle, if you like that, going throttling is a basic using your right lateral thruster. And it's just getting your head around that. It did become much more intuitive the more you did it. And I only did that for what, half an hour? But it definitely gave you that appreciation of directional awareness of which way your ship's facing, and ultimately what input you've got to put in order to go the direction that you want to go. So right at the end then, when I orbited that asteroid, all those inputs did feel quite intuitive, I'm not gonna lie, and they wouldn't have done before. An hour before my first training, there's no way I could have done that. So again, I highly recommend these training courses. It will give you an appreciation of your awareness of the direction that you're going in comparison to the way that the direction your ship's facing, if that makes sense. So you might be going that way. If you're going that way, your ship might be facing that way while doing that. So you have to change what inputs you put in. And that's what this training so far has given me, that awareness of which way my ship's going in comparison to which way my ship's facing. That's a better way of explaining it. Excellent. Right, so we're going to dock. That's my summary of what I've got out of this training so far. Again, as a relative newbie when it comes to flight assist off, let me know your thoughts and your comments. Please hit the subscribe if you like this series. I'm going to do some more of these videos, continuing our training. Any comments, any thoughts, put them in. More than happy to hear from you. And until next time, I will bid you goodbye. 07 Commanders.